Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday, and welcome to this week's educational presentation. Now, the topic of this week's class is two keys to winning trades. These are two keys I'm going to explain in detail, and they actually make up one of our most successful trading packages that we have here at Specialist Trading. But first of all, let me share with you what this concept is. For example, looking at this older chart of GILD, we see that the market was going higher, and then all of a sudden, it stopped going in an upward direction and started going down. So maybe you think we're in a downtrend. Maybe it's time to sell your long position. But the first key I'm going to share with you today actually generated a buy signal, actually right there. Now, the second key, which is just as important, confirmed that buy signal. So now you have this higher level of consistency in your pocket, and it'll give you the confidence to take the trade and know that you have a very high probability setup. And as we can see here in the following days, the stock was up 20 points. In fact, it gapped up the very next day. So this is the subject of today's educational class, two keys to winning trades. Now, I know a lot of you have never traded this way before. Maybe you only focus on fundamental analysis to make your decisions. Here's the good news. We make everything simple at Specialist Trading. In fact, everything is one click away on our platform. This is the PTS Primo charting platform that I developed with ProTrader Strategies that actually teaches you how to trade. So welcome once again. My name is Stephen Primo. I am the president and founder of Specialist Trading. I've been trading now for 48 years. As I say every week, I started my career on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for 16 years, and 9 of those years I was a specialist. So therefore, that's where we get the name Specialist Trading. I know a lot of you aren't familiar with what a specialist is or does because there aren't really a lot of them around anymore with the advent of electronic trading. But in the old days, before electronic trading, if you wanted to place a trade, you had to call up your stockbroker on the phone. The stockbroker would put you on hold. Let's say you wanted to buy 100 shares of IBM. He would put you on hold, and he in turn would call the floor trader who was on the trading floor. The floor trader would take your order to buy 100 shares of IBM. He would put the stockbroker on hold and simply walk up to the trader who specialized in making a market in IBM. And I was actually one of the specialists who did make a market in IBM. So I did that. I made markets in roughly about 60 stocks, Waste Management, US Air. I did that during the crash of 87 and the bull market that followed. I left the floor in the mid-90s to manage money, also to trade my own account. I did some educational stints along the way, educating people from other websites and other companies. And roughly about 15 years ago, I teamed up with ProTrader Strategies, where I just wanted to educate people all the things that I had accumulated, things that no one else really talks about or shares, because they're things that are basically taken from the floor that have high levels of consistency. And so this is what we teach at Specialist Trading, all the things I've accumulated in nearly 5 decades that can really elevate your trading and take it to the next level. And you'll see that in today's educational class. Now, before we begin, we're required to share this with you, so please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results by using these two keys, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And since we are first and foremost an educational company, all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, there are a lot of new names I see here in the participants list. So if you haven't done so already and you'd like to get more education on a daily basis, please feel free to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter. There's our handle right there. You may want to copy that down at SPC LST TRADG, abbreviation for Specialist Trading. Every day I post anywhere from 5 to 7 different snapshots of signals that our methods and techniques have generated. Also, little bits of financial wisdom. Also, as you see here, a lot of people are also right now listening to us on YouTube. So if you'd like to have more content on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button if you're listening there, and we will have more and more content and more webinars and things being transferred on YouTube, okay? Okay, with that stated, let's begin. And we're going to start out with these two keys. And let's start out with the very first one, because these two keys make up what we call our dynamic duo of trading. As I said earlier, one of our most successful trading packages we have at Specialist Trading. And the first key is strategy number 4. We talked about it a week or so ago, and we talked about how consistent this method is. And some of the highlights behind this is that it's a pattern recognition strategy. So we're not looking for moving average lines or some indicator you have no idea what it's based off of, crossing lines, or we're not looking for overbought, oversold, or not looking for any fundamental analysis. We're looking for a pattern that repeats itself on charts over and over again in any market and in any time frame. So we teach you what this pattern is. We teach you what to look for. Now, it's originally designed, when I first started trading it on the floor, designed for traders looking to catch quick momentum. And the beauty behind Strategy 4 is that this pattern will appear oftentimes before the momentum has entered into the chart. In other words, you may see a chart that's basically going sideways or even possibly going lower, and Strategy 4 will generate a buy signal to the upside because this pattern is telling you that the momentum is building up to the upside. Now, it only uses one indicator. I'm going to share with you what that is. It's the 50-period moving average. Okay, so the way we use it is that if price is above the 50-period moving average, well, then you'll only look for buy signals because the odds will be in your favor that market is going to go higher. If price is below the 50-period moving average, well, if we find and identify this pattern, we'll only look for sell signals because the odds are in our favor, it's going to go lower. So therefore, this pattern will never generate a buy signal below the 50 and never generate a sell signal. By sell, I mean going short signal above the 50 period. That automatically will give you a greater level of consistency in your trading, okay? So let's look at an example here. Here's an old example of a strategy number 4 trade. Now, the majority of the bars are above the 50-period moving average. Now, we closed below here for one bar, but then quickly shot back up above. So this last bar is closing above the 50-period moving average. So that meets the qualifications for rule number 1. The second rule is we want to see that the bar closes in the top 25% of its range. Okay, so in other words, if the range is from here, the extreme high, to here, the extreme low, you would simply divide it by 4 separate but equal parts. And if you closed in that top 25%, well, then rule number 2 has been met. Okay, so now you have the first 2 rules of strategy number 4. Now we just want to look for the remaining portion of the pattern. And if it met all of the qualifications, well, guess what? You would have a buy signal, which we did right here. And look what happened. The stock shot up 18 points. Okay, see how simple this is? We didn't have to worry about interest rates, didn't have to worry about earnings, didn't have to worry about going to a chat room and seeing what someone else likes. We teach you things that you can identify on your own. In my opinion, this is the only way you can become a consistent trader, by listening to the market, seeing what it wants to do on the chart, and then making your own decision, whether you want to trade it or not, where you want to enter, where you want to place your stop, where you want to track the trade, where you want to exit. That's how you become a consistent trader, not by going to a trading room and finding out what someone is saying there, or not by listening to the guys on TV. You have to make your own trading decisions in order to be a successful trader. That's our philosophy at all our education at Specialist Trading. The good news is we have tons of consistent methods and techniques to teach you, to work with you, so that you can decide how to make your own decisions, okay? Now, strategy number 4 is an extremely consistent method based off this pattern. I trade strategy number 4 almost on a daily basis. So that's how much I believe in it. I've been trading it now for almost 5 decades. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that every trade is a winner. In fact, I don't care what strategy you have. I don't care how you back test something or do the research. If someone tells you, oh, has a 99% win rate that never fails, I would run, because everything fails. That's just, the way things are. It's like, I always say, it's like saying a baseball player will hit a home run every time he comes up to plate. That's not true, or even get a hit. Every great hitter will strike out from time to time. Every great basketball player will miss the basket from time to time, okay? Every great entertainer, every great actor will have a movie flop every once in a while. That's okay. It doesn't mean that they're poor or they're terrible at their endeavor or at their careers. It just stands to reason. It's the same thing with strategy number 4. Every once in a while, you will see examples like this. As we look at workday, here's a weekly chart, all right? An older chart, we are above the 50-period moving average, so that means we're only looking for buy signals. The last bar here, we closed above, and we closed in that top 25%. Now, the remaining portion of the requirements were met. So we had a buy signal right here. So let's say you say to yourself, wow, this is great. Probably going to make a really nice profit here. Probably going to make new highs. So I'm all excited. And then this happens, right? It will happen every once in a while. If as long as you have proper money management and have a proper account size, you'll be okay. But we have to ask ourselves, is there a way to elevate our trading a little bit? Can we at least, take it up a notch with our consistency? Well, yes, there is. It's by adding the second key to our educational presentation today with 2 keys to winning trades, and that's the PET-D. And we use this as a confirmation tool. Now, I know a lot of you know what the PET-D is. I talk about it regularly here, but if you're not sure what the PET-D is, well, let's look at this example of Meta here, okay? The PET-D is a trend identifier. Now, it's probably the best thing I know, the best tool I know of identifying the trend. Once again, I was introduced to this tool on the floor of the exchange, so you won't find it on any other platform anywhere else. Now, as we see here, sure, we're in an uptrend, right? Okay, but it's usually around this time that most trend following tools or most people just using their indicators say, well, okay, by this point, I realize we're in an uptrend. So let's say you buy here, and for the next, few bars, you're doing pretty well, and then this happens. Most traders hold on, and then they say to themselves, wow, now I just had a nice winning trade here for a couple of bars turn into a nice losing trade. Well, how can the PET-D help us? Well, on our platform, we make it simple. We made it into a color bar tool, where all you have to do is click on our platform on the green strategy tab here, click on PET-D, and it will automatically change the colors, either green or red. If you see a series of green bars, the market, the PET-D, which is just a translator of what the market wants to do, is telling you it wants to go higher. A series of red bars, it's telling you it wants to go lower. So let's add the PET-D. And there you have it. So instead of finding out with most trading tools that, okay, we're in an uptrend right here, look back here. We had a series of green bars right at the lows telling us we wanted to go higher. And look at up here. We had a series of red bars at the high or near the high telling us we wanted to go lower. So as it says here, the beauty of the PET-D is that it tells you which direction you should be trading. And once you know that direction in any market, in any time frame, you can confirm if your strategy is in sync with that direction. So as we said, strategy number 4 is a great strategy, highly consistent, but we can increase our odds for consistency if we also add the second key, which is the PET-D. Okay? Now, when we combine these two together, these 2 keys, we have what we call our most successful trading package, the dynamic duo. I apply this to my trading almost on a daily basis. And let me share with you what the rules are for trading with the dynamic duo. It doesn't matter if you trade stocks, futures, the way I do, currency pairs, crypto, it doesn't matter. It just could be ETFs or you could use this intraday trading of currency pairs. It makes absolutely no difference. We have students around the world applying it to all markets and all time frames. Okay, here are the rules. If a strategy number 4 buy signal is generated, we're only going to trade the signal if the setup bar, that's the bar above the green arrow, if the setup bar is colored also green by the PET-D. That's it, okay? We've automatically increased our odds for consistency if we have these 2 keys in sync. Now, conversely, if a strategy number 4 sell signal is generated, we're only going to trade the signal if the setup bar, that's the bar below the red down arrow, is colored also red by the PET-D. That's it. This is what we call our dynamic duo for success. All right, so let's look at a few examples here, older examples for educational purpose here. ZS, okay, we are above the 50-period moving average, all right? We apply strategy number 4, and we see that strategy 4 has generated a buy signal right here. It meets all the rules of that strategy. But in order to increase our odds for consistency, we also want to see if that bar is colored green. Remember, we do not need to have all of these bars colored green. They could all be colored red. We just need the bar above the arrow to be colored green. So we apply the PET-D, and yes, it is green. Even though the bars before were red, it makes no difference. So now we have our dynamic duo of success. We have a high probability setup, and the stock went up 25 points in the next 2 weeks. Once again, we are putting the power in your hands. If you want to take that trade, go ahead. If you don't want to take it, well, don't worry. This is not a system. You can say, you know what, I'd rather take another trade, or there's something here with a less, expensive stock here, or maybe I trade a different market. That's fine. Remember, this is not a signal service. You don't have to go to a chat room and trade what they're trading in the chat room or in the trading room. You make your own decisions. That's how you become a consistent trader. Here's another example, Honeywell, okay? An older example. Went below for that one bar, then went back up, okay? It was a strategy for buy signal. We increase our odds by applying the PET D, and yes, it is colored or outlined green. Even though the 4 or 5 bars prior to it were colored red, it makes absolutely no difference. So this is a high probability setup, and the stock shot up 18 points. How about that example where it didn't work out, where the market fell out of bed? Okay, right here. Here was the weekly chart of workday, okay? It was a valid strategy number 4 signal, but once we applied the PET D, we need that bar to be colored or outlined green. And what color is it? It's red. So therefore, we would not have taken this because it's not a valid dynamic duo signal, and therefore we would not have potentially lost 50 points. So you see how this can not only help you confirm a high probability trade, it can also keep you out of trouble at times. So this is the beauty, and this is why it's one of our most successful trading packages we have at Pro Trader Strategies and Specialist Trading, because of its consistency. The strategy number 4 is a highly consistent method, but you kick it up a notch by applying the PET D with it. All right, so let's look at some more current dynamic duo signals. And remember, everything you're seeing is displayed on the PTS Primo charting platform I designed and developed with Pro Trader Strategies. We make it simple for you. In fact, everything is already pre-formatted. So you can apply the 50-period moving average if you like. The way I told you, that's the one indicator, but it's already pre-formatted onto the strategy number 4 signal. So if you click on strategy 4, it automatically knows whether you're above the 50 or below. So it's up to you whether you want to apply it or not. Okay, so let's look at some buy signals, all right? Here's that chart in GILD. It was going up, and then it went lower, okay? We apply strategy number 4 in the drop-down menu. All you have to do is click on signal arrow, and it'll automatically identify if a signal has been generated or not. And as we can see, yes, one was generated right here. Now, if you're just trading strategy number 4 by itself, well, sure, you can take that signal, you can take that trade. But if you want to kick it up a notch, we apply the PET D, the second key in the dynamic duo. And we want to make sure that that bar is colored or outlined green. Once we apply the PET D, yes, it is. Even though the bar before it was colored red, it makes absolutely no difference. So we have a valid dynamic duo setup, and the stock shot up 20 points. That's how simple trading can be and should be. Trading should not be overcomplicated where you're sitting there waiting for the earnings to come out, and then the number comes out and you say to yourself, wow, is that good or bad? I'm not really sure. It seemed like it was good, but then the stock went down. See how, that's too subjective. This is the way trading was when I was trading on the floor. I was taught the exact same things you were probably taught, to wait for the earnings, wait for the jobless numbers to come out, or economic, announcements to be made. And I still couldn't make any money. It wasn't until I started just listening to the one thing that my mentors said was the most important, and that was the chart in front of me, that I started to become successful. And so this is what we teach our students around the world, the same things that helped me. Here's an example in Amgen, okay? Well, we're kind of slowly going up, but we have no idea. And we want to see if there's a strategy 4 signal. So we click on strategy 4. Let's say in the strategy 4 class, by the way, this is not a black box system. We teach you what to look for. We teach you what that pattern is. And so you want to make sure that you're identifying the pattern on your own. So check your work by clicking on strategy 4. Click on signal arrow. And yes, you are correct. That is a valid strategy number 4 sell signal. Now, you could take that just on its own, but remember, we want to filter out as many bad signals as possible. And the way to do that is by adding the second component, the second key, which is the PET D. Click up here in our green strategy tab. And in order to take that sell signal, this bar needs to be colored or outlined red. We don't care what the previous bars are colored. We want to make sure this one is colored red below the signal. So we apply the pet D, and what color is this bar? It's green. So is that a valid dynamic duo signal? Absolutely not. So we're not going to take this trade if we want to be using the dynamic duo. And it was a good thing we didn't, because look what happened. It went straight up. Do you see how the pet D confirms whether we should be taking the signal or not? Now, as it went up, you say to yourself, wow, I dodged a bullet there. But you can continue to see where there may be signals. And now this time you think you see another signal. Click on strategy 4. Click on signal arrow. And yes, but this time it's a buy signal, and it's colored or outlined green. So this one you want to take. And the stock shot up 38 points after you took the signal. Here's an example in KLAC where 2 signals were generated. So if you missed the first one, you could have taken the second one. But in order to confirm it, we apply the pet D. And yes, they were both colored or outlined green. So you could have taken either one of these 2 dynamic duo buy signals in KLAC and potentially captured 95 points in a little over a week. We know this is an expensive stock, but still, you could have applied options. When you see a buy signal, we tell our students, it doesn't mean you have to buy the stock or buy the future. You can use any means of trading that you like. If you want to buy a future, if you want to buy an option, if you'd like to buy some type of spread strategy, it's up to you. Our job as a mentor is to provide you with these highlighted areas for entry, either going long or short. How you decide to be involved in the trade is entirely up to you. Remember, you are in charge. That's our credo. That's our philosophy. We never sit here and tell you that you have to buy the stock at this price, you have to sell the stock at this price, you have to place your stop at the. We provide you with different variables, but it's you who decides how you want to do that. A buy signal was generated in the British pound, okay? This was just a few months ago on this bar. It's colored or outlined green. So that's a valid dynamic duo signal, and shot up 285 pips, nearly $3,000 in a couple of weeks, potentially you could have captured. Here's a weekly chart of Costco, okay? Going all the way back to 2023, okay? Someone looking back in hindsight would say, gosh, I really missed this one. How could I have taken advantage of it? Well, first thing you do is apply strategy 4 and look at all the buy signals strategy 4 had generated for you. And if you wanted to take it up a notch, you apply the pet D, and each and every one of those buy signals was validated and confirmed by the pet D. So, you know, traders love to play the victim game, as I always say. Even when I was trading on the floor, traders love to say, oh gosh, you know, I wish I would have known about this, or how come I didn't know? Once you have the information on seeing the chart in front of you, you can never play that victim game anymore. So you'll never blame anyone if it didn't work out. It's your responsibility. But at the same time, you never have to praise anyone and say, well, gosh, I have to do whatever this person says because they had a winning trade. You're in charge of your own trading. So now you're taking responsibility, and you can pat yourself on the back for all these winning trades that you took. And potentially you could have captured over 500 points just using the dynamic duo on the weekly bars of Costco. All right, those were buy setups. Let's look at some sell setups, because it can be applied to any direction and any time frame. We see here an older chart in EA. It looks like it's going nowhere, right? Basically, it's a sideways pattern. Most traders say, well, I don't want to be involved in something like this because this is where you lose money. But maybe you go to that chat room and the guy says, well, not really true here, because there's institutional buying right here. That's what's keeping this stock up. And you never want to go against the institutions because they're the big bucks, right? In fact, there are courses devoted to trading with the institutions. Now, it's up to you if you want to trade with the institutions. As a teacher and as a mentor, my job is not to tell you what not to do. So therefore, if you want to do that, you've had success with that, well, by all means, go ahead. All I can do is give you my personal experience, because when I was a specialist on the floor, I traded with the institutions. They used to come up to my post and give me orders in stocks like Waste Management, IBM, and General Dynamics, things of that nature. All right. And I can tell you from first-hand experience that they had the worst track record of any other traders I traded with. They were continually entering orders that were wrong, losing tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And The reason is because they had big bucks behind them and they could afford to take these huge losses, okay? So I would never base a trade off of what any institution or what any bank is doing. I only base my trades off what my mentors taught me. These were specialists themselves who said, make your decisions based off what the market is telling you. Now, the pattern, the strategy number 4 pattern, is based off market behavior. The PET-D is a translator, basing its color bar decisions off of what the market wants to do. So these things are just translating what the market wants to do. So I don't care what the institutions are doing or saying. They could be telling me they're major buyers in this. I really don't care. What is the market telling me? Well, let's see what the pattern is saying. Click on strategy 4, click on signal arrow, and well, it's telling me that even though we may be going sideways, there's a sell signal right here. So I don't care if there's institutional buying. I'm more concerned with this. And if we apply the PET-D as we see here, the bar below the signal is colored red. In fact, even though it really doesn't matter regarding the dynamic duo signal, the entire time the institutions were saying buy here, look what the color of the bars were. So the PET-D was translating that the market wants to go lower. It just hasn't done it yet. That's why I would never place my faith in what the institutions are doing. So even though it just hasn't happened yet, I got a sell signal here based on this pattern, and look what happened. What happened to the support there when we gapped down 25 points? Okay, this is why I would never rely on an outside source telling me what to do. Either it could be an earnings report, it could be some guy on TV, it could be someone in a trading or a chat room, it could even be some guy in a webinar. Sure, you should learn things on how to trade, but ultimately your decision should come from yourself. Here we have an example in CTAS. We're kind of going sideways, but then we fell out of bed here. Is this a bottom or is this the beginning of a strong downward move? Well, it looks like we bottomed out here. In fact, it looks like we're starting to go higher. Look at all these closes that closed up. So maybe we're starting a brand new uptrend, right? Well, click on strategy 4. Let's see what the pattern is saying. Click on signal arrow. Nope, the pattern is generating a sell signal. It's telling us that, sure, we've kind of headed upwards for the last week or so, but this is a selling opportunity, not a buying opportunity. In order to take the signal up a notch, we apply the PET-D. We want to make sure that this bar below the arrow is colored or outlined red. We don't care what the rest of them are, as long as this one is outlined red, and yes, it is. So the market is not telling you, it's screaming to sell. And look what happened. In the next 3 days, it fell 30 points. ADSK, another sell signal was generated here, colored red by the PET-D, and the stock fell 35 points in the next 2 weeks. Here's an example in a 2-hour chart of the euro dollar, right? Another sell signal was generated using the pattern. It was colored red by the PET-D, so we have a valid dynamic duo sell signal in the 2-hour chart of a currency pair. And it fell 1,000 pips. That's thousands of dollars that you could have taken advantage of. Here we have another so-called sideways market or whipsaw market. This is where when it goes up, you buy, it goes down, you sell, and it looks like it's going higher again. So you say to yourself, gosh, I always lose money in these markets because, Steve says to do what the market wants to do, but the market doesn't want to do anything. Well, that's not really true, because even though it may appear you're in a sideways market, if we apply strategy 4, it's actually telling us, once we click on the signal arrows, that it could be in a sideways market, but it's telling us that the pattern is saying to sell. So market behavior is saying it wants to go lower, even though it hasn't gone lower yet. And if we apply our translator to confirm the signals, well, we see there the PET-D has traded, or should say has colored both bars red. So even though nothing has happened yet, the odds are in your favor. It's going to be going lower, and the stock eventually fell 65 points. So what happened to the sideways market? Okay, so let's recap what we shared with you today. The first key in these 2 keys for successful trades was strategy number 4. This is a pattern recognition strategy, a strategy that I learned nearly 5 decades ago and that I continue to trade on a daily basis. You can apply it to any market, any time frame, because this pattern repeats itself over and over again in any market and in any time frame. And we teach you what to look for. It's not a black box. It's not a proprietary strategy. You will know all the rules once you start learning how to trade it. But it will only go so far because, as you said earlier, nothing works 100% of the time. So is there a way to increase our odds for success? There sure is. You add the second key, the second component for success, and that is the PET-D. The PET-D is another tool that I first learned some 5 decades ago on the floor of the stock exchange. It's the best tool I know for identifying the short-term trend of any market or any time frame. And we've made it simple by turning it into a color bar tool. So all you want to do is apply it with strategy number 4. If you get a strategy 4 buy signal, that bar must be colored green. If you get a strategy number 4 sell signal, that bar must be colored red. When you combine these two keys together, you get our most successful trading package, which we call the dynamic duo. Now, as I said earlier, in our courses, we teach you exactly what to look for, how to apply this, but we make it simple. As you just saw, everything displayed today was coming from the PTS Primo Charting platform, where everything is one click away. It's not like what I had to do some 5 decades ago and get a hand calculator. Once I identified the pattern, I had to get a hand calculator to figure out what the PET-D was doing. At the time, we called it the formula because it was so comprehensive. It was so complicated. Well, now everything is simple. It's one click away. So as we conclude here, and before you ask me questions, I want to ask you something. Ask yourself honestly, do you think these two keys can help your trading for the remainder of 2025? The year is nearly half over. All right. If you're nowhere near where you thought you'd be in the beginning of the year, let's finish the year off strong. In the second half, let's finish out with some consistency. And I think we have a way to do that for you. Here's today's special attendee discount. We're going to offer you what we call our dynamic duo special. You're going to get instant course access not only to strategy number 4, but you're also going to get 4 PET-D trading techniques. These are entirely different from strategy number 4. So you're going to have a total of 5 different ways to trade in our dynamic duo special. You'll get detailed instruction. You'll have a variable of 6 or 7 different ways to entry, 6 or 7 different ways to exit, 6 or 7 different ways to place your stop. So you can decide what feels best for you. Remember, our job as a mentor is to provide you with this information, and then your job is to pick and choose to see what makes you feel the most comfortable. So you'll get the entire course rules, but on top of that, as we said, you'll get 4 PET-D trading techniques. These are totally different from what strategy number 4 in that you can just use the PET-D to trade and look for these highlighted techniques as well, okay? So as you saw here, everything was coming displayed using our platform. So we decided to take advantage of this great offer and this great discount, I might add today. We'll also throw in a full year free of the platform. Now, the platform will come with automatically clicking on strategy number 4 and automatically clicking on the PET-D, but it also comes with a host of different techniques and tips and methods that I've accumulated in nearly 5 decades that you won't find anywhere else. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's just so much more included on the platform. Things like our signal scanner, also auto-generated exit levels. You won't find anywhere else. This is one of our exit techniques where with one click, you'll see where these exit levels are. A strength of trend tool to tell you if the trend has a little bit more gas left in the tank or if it's running out of steam. And over 90 of the most prominent technical indicators that you'll find. That's just the tip of the iceberg, okay? But let me share with you exactly what we mean by how simple it is, because the signal scanner is one of the best things you can scan for PET-D and strategy number 4 setups or dynamic duo setups on a nightly basis, okay? Let me show you what I mean here. Here's a chart in SNX, okay? Looks like it's doing nothing, right? Just kind of going sideways. A signal was generated right here. You could have scanned for it, and you could have also applied the PET-D to see that it was a dynamic duo signal. And look what happened, 35 points in 1 week, all because you scanned on the night before and you saw that it was a valid signal. Here's another one, okay, SLNO, going sideways, right? But you could have scanned on the night of the 21st and seen that there was a valid buy signal. Actually, on the night of the 24th, seeing that there was a valid buy signal. You apply the PET-D, and yes, it's a dynamic duo signal, and 23 points in just 3 days, all by just applying the scanner. Now, sometimes the best trades are the ones you never take. For example, here was a buy signal you could have scanned for an older chart in Google going back to February, okay? That was a valid buy signal. But if you apply the PET D, what's it saying? Okay, even though you scan for the strategy 4 signal, it's telling you that that is not valid, so you would not have taken the trade and therefore not have taken a potential 25-point loss. Or here in Amazon, 2 buy signals, valid strategy 4 buy signals you could have scanned for the night before, but once you applied the PET D, it was not confirmed, and you would not have taken either one of these signals and potentially saved yourself a 40-point loss. This is the beauty of having our scanner. You can scan for these and see if they're valid setups, if they would work for you or not. One more, last one in MDB, all right? A valid buy signal you scanned for. This was just a month or so ago. But once you apply the PET D, you see that it's not a valid dynamic duo signal. So not taking the trade, and look what happened. It fell 90 points in the next 3 days. Take your trading to the next level with a dynamic duo. We have literally thousands of students around the world who are dynamic duo students. They apply it to currency pair trading, 15-minute charts of currency pairs. They apply it to monthly trading for their portfolios. They also apply it to crypto trading as well. I personally like to use it intraday on trading the E-mini futures, but it makes no difference because this pattern repeats itself over and over again, and the PET D, being a translator, basically will translate whether the market is in sync with the pattern. That's the beauty of using the dynamic duo, and with one click, you can see if it's a valid signal on our platform. Okay, so here's how to take advantage of this. Remember, you'll get our dynamic duo special, which includes the strategy number 4 rules. You'll also get the PET D, which also includes 4 separate PET D trading techniques, and included with that, you will get a full year free of the PTS Primo charting platform. This is a great, great offer. And let me tell you about a great, great discount we have for all of you. If you were buying these separately and did not have the discount we're talking about, well, strategy number 4 would cost you close to $700. If you wanted to include the PET D separately, well, that would cost you close to $5,000. And if you wanted a full year of the PTS Primo charts, well, that would cost you close to $1,800. So altogether, if you just got this separately without the offer we have today, we're talking close to $7,500. Now, we know that's a lot of money. We do not in any way want to surprise you with a price that large here. We're going to surprise you with a great discount because we would not offer you that at $74.55. We're discounting it down, but for a limited time only, for a one-time payment of $497. That's less than $500. You can come in and be up and running as early as today. Just have a one-time payment of $497 and establish a monthly payment with ProTrader Strategies of $97 a month. That's it. That's how simple it is to get up and running as early as today. Now, on the other hand, let's say you have sufficient funds and you say, well, that's great, Steve, but I don't want to have a monthly payment. I can pay the full price already. Well, we'll still give you a discount. We'll discount it down to $49.95. All right, so you have everything all included. You'll have strategy 4, the PET D, and a full year of the platform discounted down to $49.95. So either way you decide to go, getting the really super discounted $497 price or the $49.95 price, you'll still get a full year of our platform, absolutely free. Here's how to take advantage of this great offer. Remember, it's for a limited time only. Most likely this time next week, it will be gone. So I would highly recommend contacting ProTrader Strategies. They're my sister site. They're in charge of all the discounts and all of the promotions, as well as the tech support for the platform. They can answer you any questions concerning data or concerning what else is included in the platform. I would highly recommend giving them a call at this number right here, 310-598-6677. They have trading consultants right now manning the phones. Be more than happy to take your order over the phone or answer questions. There's absolutely no obligation. You can just call them up and find out more about what's offered in the great discount here. Now, that link you see at the bottom is the link that will take you to the sign up page, also the info page. If you'd like to sign up online there. You can do that as well, but you can also get more info about what's offered. It's not a live link, but if you go to the chat box, that little icon there you see in the Zoom bar there, just click that on the chat box and you'll see that a live link has been posted. Okay. Now I'm going to reserve the last 5 or 10 minutes for any questions. If you have any questions concerning what I just went over today, please go to the chat box or the question and answer box, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Just see something here that was on the chat box. Remember, this can also be applied to TradeStation, NinjaTrader, MT4, Metastock, and we can also give you our PTS Primo Charts as well, real-time free, which has a lot more benefits, a lot more things. As I stated, what I shared with you was just the tip of the iceberg. There are things on there that you won't find on any of the other major platforms, okay? So if someone was asking about that, can I apply this to other platforms? Yes, you can. TradeStation, NinjaTrader, MT4, Metastock, and TradingView, okay? Let's see, there's another question. What is the difference between the PET-D fast and PET-D slow? That's a good question. I didn't really go into that, but the PET-D comes with 2 different variations. The PET-D fast is basically used for confirmation of a signal or entries. So if you want to use it for any type of entering or getting into a market or any kind of confirmation type of concept, you would use the standard, or what we call the PET-D fast. Now the PET-D slow is the way it's described here in its title. It's a little bit slower, and therefore we use the PET-D primarily slow for exiting, or for keeping you in a trade a lot longer, so that once you're actually in a trade, you can use the PET-D slow to tell you whether you should remain in the trade or get out, or there are different stop placements by applying that PET-D slow. And this is all explained in the course. So PET-D fast or PET-D regular is mainly used for entries. PET-D slow is used for exiting or remaining in the trade at a longer time. 2 totally different ways to apply it. Okay, good question. Okay. Another question, do these strategies ever recalibrate? No, they don't. I think another word for that is being repainted or being upgraded or reworked. No, we will never change. I've been using Strategy 4 for almost 5 decades now. We have not changed anything. I'm using the same rules that I was taught by my mentors. They were specialists on the floor, when I started in the 70s. So trust me, nothing has changed since then. So we have no plans of changing that. In terms of the PET-D, no, the PET-D does not recalibrate or recolor itself. So once a bar closes, and whatever the color was of that bar, if it's a green bar, it will stay a green bar. It doesn't recalibrate, it doesn't repaint itself. So it makes no difference. The same thing with the PET-D. They will stay at the same level. I really don't believe, I know there are a lot of indicators and a lot of tools that do that. These are not dynamic in the sense that they change with the market. And you look back and you say, hey, that was a red bar. Now it's changed to green. No, we don't believe in that. Once the bar has closed, it will stay at that color. Now, many times, if let's say you're looking at an hourly bar, well, within that hour, the PET-D may color that from a green to a red back to a green again, because the market has fluctuated. And remember, the PET-D is translating what the market wants to do. But once that bar closes, it remains at that set color. Okay. Okay. Good questions. Any more while you have me here? Remember, I have been using the PET-D for almost 5 decades now. I continue to use it. That's how much I believe in it. I'm just trying to share it with you. It's a great course. And trust me, this is a great price. If you're picking up all these things that would normally cost you close to $7,500 for less than a one-time fee of $500 and a one-time, or I should say, and an ongoing monthly payment of $97, this is a great, great discount. So take advantage of this. Contact Pro Trader Strategies at 310-598-6677. And they're very flexible. They're there to work with you. So don't feel that you have to be locked in to purchase something today. If you'd like to purchase something, that's great, and take advantage of this offer. That's fantastic. But if you just want to ask more questions, don't worry about it. They're there to work with you, and there's no obligation to give them a call. Okay. Just remember though that this is only a limited time offer. So at this time next week, this offer will probably will be over, and it'll go back to the nearly $7,500 price. Okay, if there are no further questions, let me see. Oh, I have one here. I have the PET-D slow and fast since 2017 and on the Ninja platform. How do you get your platform? Well, the platform, once again, comes with this offer. But once again, contact Pro Trader Strategies. They would be happy to give you different offers and different discounts by getting our platform as well, okay? And give them a call. Once again, there's no obligation. They would be more than happy to give you a quote, or if you're a good qualified customer, they can give you a great discount, all right? Now, as we take one last look at our disclaimer, I want to thank you so much for attending today. I really hope you see how we want to educate you as traders, because we feel that there are more than enough profits to go around on a daily basis. So why not educate you so that you can be a part of this great, community of specialist trading traders that are doing well and being consistent for the very first time. So come on board. Give Pro Trader Strategies a call, and they would be more than happy to work with you and give you a great, great offer, okay? So as we close up now, I just want to say thank you so much for attending. I wish you all the best of luck, but most especially, I look forward to having you all as my students in the Dynamic Duo course. Thank you so much for being here today, and I wish you all the best of luck in trading. Bye-bye.